Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the U Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Payton, and today I'm joined in studio by one of my relatively new colleagues who is becoming a real force in the risk management community. DeMarcus Strange is based out of INSURICA's Dallas office, but his positive impact is being felt by our colleagues and customers across the entire INSURICA world. I can't wait to learn more about DeMarcus's background and how he has developed his passion in helping our customers become best in class in their respective industries. So, welcome to the podcast, DeMarcus.
Thank you for having me, Andy.
Oh, it's great. So you're in Oklahoma City, but you're stationed out of Dallas. What brings you to the Oklahoma City area today?
So, actually, came up here to do the podcast with you, of course, and also visit with John Schlarb.
The golden bear of risk management.
Yes, the legend John Schlarb.
That's right. Well, good. Well, I hope you've had a good meeting with him, and of course, taking advantage of having you in the podcast studio. Everybody, today, this is kind of a first for our little podcast here. This is the very first day that we've ever tried to do a video version of the podcast. Of course, we've been audio for the last, three years or so, and we've always wanted to do this because, a lot of people enjoy, quote unquote, listening to their podcasts on a video platform like YouTube. So anyway, everybody, those of you who listen to us on our regular podcast channels, be sure and go check out our YouTube channel. Just Google INSURICA or go to YouTube and search INSURICA. And our podcast, our video channel will show up, and then you could hit subscribe there so that you could watch and listen to our podcast too. So that'll be kind of fun. So anyway.
Now you got me scared that I'm the first person.
Well, at least you wore a jacket. I kind of went with the INSURICA logo thing, and, at least I'm wearing pants. I'm not wearing shorts or anything. So we're both ready to do this. I think I had one of my former girlfriends tell me that I had a face for radio. So anyway, this is a video version of that, I guess. So.
Hey, the voice is good too.
Well, a little electronic help never hurt anybody. So, DeMarcus, I know you've listened to our podcast before, so this won't be a surprise question. But the thing that I love to do is just before we get into business, let's talk just a little bit about, let's get to know you personally a little bit. You've been a colleague of ours for a few years now. When did you join INSURICA?
So almost 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, you've been a bit of a whirlwind. I mean, inside INSURICA, you've done an awful lot in those 2 years. But rewind for us. Just tell us, a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And then how did you find your way into this exciting world of risk management and insurance?
Okay, so this is my little disclaimer. It'll sound like the little spiel that I give whenever I do presentations, but I'm originally from East Texas, Longview, Texas.
Okay. How's the view out there?
It's pretty green. Yeah, long.
East Texas is beautiful. We know that. Yeah.
Except for the mosquitoes are horrible. But anywho, from East Texas, I actually came out to Oklahoma City because my background was oil and gas. So I came out here and I was working for a company at the time called Smith. And the segment that I was in ended up being purchased by Schlumberger. Okay. So worked there for quite some time. I ended up becoming a U.S. Land safety manager for the completion segment of Schlumberger. Okay.
So when you went to work with Smith, you were in the safety or risk management area?
I was in operations / safety. The interesting thing about oil and gas is it's like, hey, we'll hire you for this job, but hey, we need you to do this too.
Yeah, so, right.
That's not uncommon. So it was one of those type of situations. And fortunate for me, it was a really great opportunity that I took advantage of. I'm a son of a Marine, and my dad always says, hey, don't ever turn down knowledge or opportunity to learn something. And so when that came my way, it was like, hey, why not? So kind of jumped right on in there. And that was a huge learning experience for me. Got me on my track to safety, being a safety expert. Went through a lot of education to sharpen my craft and become good at it. I would say the biggest part was just learning how to deal with personalities. So I did that, and then I would say around 2015 when the downturn happened, got laid off and ended up starting my own safety consulting firm, which ironically is how I came in contact with INSURICA, John Schlarb.
Okay.
And so I was running around the city, knocking on doors and trying to drum up business, doing work in construction for some of the companies like J.E. Dunn, and then oil and gas. I was pretty familiar in the oil and gas community, so I was able to build up clientele there. And then I came and said, hey, know you guys got, a loss control segment. Can I handle some, low hanging fruit or help out at any opportunity? And so that kind of started that relationship.
I'm glad we found each other for sure. You mentioned education, and I know that in the risk management world, there are certain designations, and I know you've achieved a few of them. Can you talk a little bit about those letters that are at the end of your name? I mean, those mean something for sure in the risk management world, in the insurance world. So talk a little bit about the designations you've pursued and collected.
Okay, so I have my SMS, which is Safety Management Specialist with the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, or BCSP for short. Being with Schlumberger, it's interesting because they're an international company, and so they are very adamant about you learning things from an international standpoint. So I also have my NEBOSH certificate in health and safety as well. So that's the National Examination Board in Occupational Safety and Health.
Okay.
And so they look at safety on the international level because you may have the opportunity to go work overseas, and over there they don't use OSHA. OSHA is just used in the United States. So I have that as well. And then just recently, being a part of the RIMS organization, DFW RIMS, locally in the area where I live now, I started about a year ago studying and pursuing to earn my RIMS CRMP, which was a huge milestone for me because with what we do professionally, I wanted to have our clients, whenever I'm facing them, understand that, hey, I'm trying to look at your business and understand your risk from a holistic point of view, and earning that designation really helped in kind of solidifying and helping the client understand that, because it's more than about just placing the policy. It's about, okay, how do we handle risk?
Well, and from my understanding, because we've done a little bit of an internal story on this designation, it's very hard to get, and not everybody in the risk management world has that particular designation. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I would say, I think if my memory serves me correct, at the time I earned it, it was less than 1,000 people in the world have that designation as of right now.
You hit on an incredibly important topic, and we talk about this a lot. It's sort of in the realm of helping our customers become best in class. And then it also speaks into your profession and our entire department, because there are so many ways and several better ways to mitigate and transfer risk than just by buying or purchasing insurance contract. So talk a little bit about what best in class status might mean for whether it's an oil and gas business or a construction business or a healthcare business or whatever. But I think Taylor Caraway, our great colleague in our sales department, says if you want to pay less premium, then transfer less risk. And so the essence of transferring less risk is, squeezing that risk down to as small as possible. And that's what you all do, interacting with our customers every day to help, avoid risk or mitigate risk. Talk a little bit just about that philosophy, about how you come to that.
Absolutely. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, right? It's like, okay, insurance is just a risk management tool. It's not risk management in its entirety, right? So there are a lot of other things.
It's not the only
strategy, And I always tell people the way I look at risk management is a collaboration with people who don't do exactly what you do. And so that could be the person who handles your insurance. That could be someone else who works in a different department. So if you're manufacturing and you're making a decision, how does this affect your logistics and shipping and things like that? So you want to have all these conversations. But dialing it in to my expertise, I often look through the lens of how do we prevent, right? And so using safety as a tool to go in and say, hey, when I pull up your loss runs and I'm looking at your EMOD, I'm looking for trends and things that I can take safety tactics and apply to those situations to say, okay, how are we going to prevent this from reoccurring? What kind of processes and what kind of systems can we put in place to prevent this? And then that will take care of that risk happening later on down the line, hopefully.
Do you find customers are mostly amenable to this kind of an approach to risk management? Do they welcome your expertise or do people seem skeptical at first and wonder, this might cost a little bit of money for us to put these safety procedures in place? Talk a little bit about how you convince them that risk management and avoiding losses in the first place is a much more efficient way to handle that.
I love that question, and it's pretty nuanced, and it can be a little bit of everything. So kudos to INSURICA and how we deal with our clients, because I say it's all in the message and presentation. So when I'm in front of a client, I present it to them like this. We know that this is costing you money if we can look at some loss runs, right? And
right.
We see it there. It's in black and white. And so now the conversation turns to, okay, how do we help you or how do we prevent that loss of whatever it is? And that can be people. It's not always about money, because sometimes when you're looking at an organization from a people standpoint, if people are being injured, that's not good for you. You're going to lose productivity. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose your morale's going to dip. And so whenever I start to paint the picture, I say, hey, this is how INSURICA shows that we value our clients, because we're able to help implement some of these processes, and it's not an extra charge to you.
No, it's included,
Yeah.
Brokers earn commission, and then I think it's natural for customers to wonder, well, what am I receiving in services and expertise in exchange for that commission part of the insurance premium that they pay?
Yeah, and it's like that old phrase goes, if I can save money without paying money, okay, let's do it.
Well, you hit on an incredible point here, because it's easy perhaps for businesses to understand the hard cost, the dollars that are being expended for whatever, whether it's the deductible that they pay after a loss or the costs that they're paying to maybe prevent a loss. But there are those, incalculable costs like lost opportunity, lost productivity. When business leaders have to divert their attention from their main mission to handling an unexpected, unplanned loss. So I love the fact that you talk to our customers about that side as well. And, profitability has everything to do with that.
Yeah. I always say you're in business to do business.
Right.
And if you're not doing business, what are you there for?
Right. I love that phrase, when people say, let's keep the main thing the main thing. Mm-hmm. And anytime your focus is distracted from the main thing, then that's lost opportunity, lost profitability, loss.
Absolutely.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that you entered sort of the business world maybe in the oil and gas space, and INSURICA has 14 different industry verticals, and I know that we practice risk management services in all of those. But what industries have you found thus far that you mainly are working in around the Dallas area and across the INSURICA platform?
Specific to the Dallas area, it's been a lot of construction, which I enjoy construction a lot. The people, it can be very, very fast paced. A lot of opportunity to really go in and speak with our clients and show them some tangible results, things that they can really see how their organization has been impacted. Also manufacturing as well. Been doing some of that, and a lot of landscaping companies,
really?
Which is really interesting. And this time of year, the men and women who work in those industries, they're top of mind right now, especially with the heat that we've seen going on.
Well, and that's an entirely different kind of work-related industry that's possible to happen there. I mean, heat stroke is something that you don't want to take lightly at all, for sure.
Absolutely not.
So you're talking just a little bit about your experiences interacting with our customers. Maybe hit us with a success story or two where you've worked with a customer. Maybe we don't name names, but you just say this is the kind of challenge they were having, or they didn't even realize they were having this challenge. We pointed this out to them, and they took measures to manage that risk more successfully.
One that always sticks in my memory, it's a client. They're a clothing distributor, and what was interesting is we were having a carrier loss control visit, and it was pointed out that they needed to make some adjustments related to fire prevention and the system for alerting, because they have a really, really large warehouse. And it became one of those topics to where they were leasing a building that was old. So it was like, hey, it's not technically our building, and we're being asked to do a recommendation for retrofitting. And this was a situation where I kind of did some research and found a system that they could install on their current building that would basically work as their alarm system for fire and any other type of hazards. It was more than just fire.
It's interesting because the landlord would really be the ones that had to make that improvement.
It's not like they could just come in and just start making all these changes without having to buy in from the landlord. So being able to go in and identify a solution that our client can put in place to satisfy the carrier, and also be able to truly provide an extra layer of protection for notifying if there was a fire risk happening on that property, was huge for them. And then also they had looked in what it was cost to even try to present that, to do some type of retrofitting. And so the cost savings was huge. And I remember, I think the human resource president even wrote in about that, and they were very pleased that we were able to provide them with a solution that didn't put a strain on them financially.
That's great. And in that story you mentioned, I think, a very important dynamic, because our customers will experience a loss control visit of people that come out from the insurer, the insurance company, the carrier. And so the fact that INSURICA has its own risk management department and people, professionals like DeMarcus Strange, you're really there as an advocate for the customer.
Yes.
Not the eyes of the insurance company necessarily, even though we're all interested in mitigating and preventing loss, mitigating risk and preventing loss. But you can go in there and sort of advocate and represent the customer's interests in all of that, and kind of help negotiate with an insurance company that probably wants an old building to become a brand new smart building, and sometimes those things are less than practical.
Yeah, it's not gonna, the chances of that happening is like slim to none, right? So it's like, okay, how do we add value to our client? We come in and we do the groundwork, and we research information, and we say, hey, here's some options, here's some solutions going forward that will also satisfy the carrier. Yeah. And that's a good thing. And I would say another example, this actually happened recently. We have a landscaping client, and they are just expanding at an aggressive rate. And I sat down with the gentleman, and he goes, hey, the guy who's the leader of the over the organization now, he was at another organization, and he just was very honest, and he said the prior place that I was at, we were very advanced in our safety, and we're wanting to get that type of operation or those type of processes in place here. And he kind of didn't know where to start, because he wasn't the one that was over it. Right. He just saw the results from it. So this was unique, because now we had a conversation and basically designed a roadmap how to get from point A to Z, and the different stops in between, to make sure they had everything in place as far as when they're onboarding people, because they're expanding. How are you going to manage when something does go wrong? Accident investigation. So it's actually building out the entire program. And he called me back later, and he was like, hey, I wouldn't have known where to start to do this. And, even connecting him with some local OSHA representatives, there's always this stigma out there like, oh, OSHA's just out to get us. And it's like, no, it's all about how you handle your business. And so being able to provide that guidance for our client and see that they're pleased that, hey, we have a team we can rely on, so we can go and do what we do best, and they can help us with this other stuff.
That's a great story, and one of the things I like most about that story is really more about leadership. Certainly, you're providing thought leadership and other forms of leadership in those situations, but you mentioned this gentleman at the business that may not be technically in charge of making these kind of decisions, but he saw the benefit of a robust safety program. And so for all those listening on the podcast, viewing now on our YouTube channel, leadership isn't just a top-down enterprise. Sometimes it's just as important to lead up and make your influence known above you, so that you can, this person clearly had a positive impact on his organization by, showing the possibilities to his supervisors, who then could pull the trigger on a more robust safety program. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And they get to hear it from another source. It's not just somebody internally saying, hey, we have to do this. I get the opportunity to come in and advocate for that person who's campaigning to do all these good things.
Like, listen to him. He's right.
Yeah. And then give him the ammo that he may not know is out there to help push that narrative.
At the end of the day, they took another giant step toward becoming a best-in-class business.
Absolutely.
All right. Next topic is I follow you. I'm a enthusiastic follower of DeMarcus Strange on LinkedIn. I would encourage everybody to search him out and follow him. You seem like you're the man about town. You are very active and all over. Tell us a little bit about just, your life outside of the actual office, because, you've talked about going to visit and deliver services to clients, but you do presentations, lectures, luncheons, those kind of things. Talk a little bit about the activity that I see you do on the kinds of activities that you promote on LinkedIn.
Well, truth be told, I actually do those activities because I feel it adds value to what I do here internally with INSURICA. I can't tell you how many times that I get questions, again, going back to a tenet that I believe in. Risk management is a collaboration with people who don't do what you do. And so, therefore, when one of our clients may have a question, and it may not be something that we do here internally. If I have a connection with somebody outside the organization that can benefit that client, that means the world to them. And so being able to get out in the community and interact with professionals from different industries, that's always been a passion of mine. I come from a very tight-knit family, and so I consider myself a people person first. So I like interacting. I like being a part of the community. If I'm going to live in a community, I actually want to be a part of it. So I volunteer locally with a group called Bonton Farms in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm a part of, like I said earlier, DFW Rams, and then also Elite Dallas, which is a shoot off from the independent insurance agencies of Dallas. And so it gives me it helps keep my life full.
Yeah. Well, just what you just talked about is you're the living embodiment. You're the example of what it means to be an INSURICAN. Somebody that is involved in contributing and giving back and investing in the INSURICA community. And that's the place where we live. It's the industries we work in. It's everything. So for all the INSURICANs listening, look at DeMarcus. Be DeMarcus. Be like DeMarcus. You are doing it right, my friend. So about 2 years with us, the impact has already been huge. Tell us a little bit about your vision for the future, for DeMarcus and for risk management, and how do you see INSURICA in the future? What does the future look like to DeMarcus Strange?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm going to say a quote from a good friend of mine, Daniel Coffey. Part of the future for me is learning and earning, and I feel that I am fortunate enough to be a part of an organization that embraces that concept. So I'm very thankful for that. There's a lot of learning opportunities ahead of me. And then also just being able to take advantage of, my strengths and using them for the betterment of our organization. Just being a leader, trying to find new ways to push the risk management industry forward. I often hear sometimes when I'm out and about, some people will say, man, we don't have any we don't have any younger people that seems to be excited about this industry, and it's a very exciting industry. So a personal passion of mine is looking for those new ways to help shed light on the insurance and the risk industry, whether that's through safety, whether that's through claims, because we have I'm in the loss control department here, but we have a lot of great individuals in this organization that do a lot of great things for our businesses in the communities, because if the businesses aren't managing risk, then that puts a strain on everything, and it's a trickle-down effect. So for me, my mission is, how do I contribute to this industry to keep it going, to make sure that I'm learning every day, and then go out and say, hey, you can do this too, to someone who's coming after me.
I love it. And, I think you nailed it. I love the idea that INSURICA, what we do, is part of that ecosystem of a healthy community. If we can help businesses be best in class, we all know business community supports all the important things in our communities, from arts to social services, nonprofits, ministries, all that. So I think we play a valuable role in a healthy community. So before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add, something I haven't asked that you'd like to make sure our listeners know?
Not really. I would just say I'm looking forward to the future of our organization. And I think it's very bright. I think the risk industry is bright. We have a lot of stuff coming in with tech being on the horizon, AI, but that's a whole nother separate conversation.
That's another podcast. We'll have to do that in the future.
Yeah. So, I would encourage everybody to stay sharp and stay excited.
That's awesome. DeMarcus, it has been a real pleasure having you here in studio with us. Thank you for joining us on what, dare I say, is this historic podcast where we're videoing for the first time. So now we can not only be heard, we can also be seen. Thank you to our listeners and I guess our viewers for joining us today. We will look forward to our next podcast, so hit those subscribe buttons so you don't miss a thing. See you next time.